What's up, everyone? It's Matt Mrozik, aka MVM097, with 172nd Sinanju work in progress number 7. I think this is 7. So we're on the panel lines, and I've only done a few here just to test out a new method. I get asked a lot how I do my panel lines, and I just do I do India ink. I used to try to do enamel washes. I can never get those to work properly. I've tried the Tamiya panel lining, that wasn't dark enough for me, even the black. Then someone, I can't remember who, but I read on a forum to try India ink pens. So for probably the last 2 or 3 years, I've been using the Faber-Castell India ink pens to do my panel lines. And these are used just like a Gundam marker, but they actually work. My advice for anyone who buys a Gundam marker: throw it away. Don't buy them. They are terrible. I bought a set, I tried to use them, and the damn paint does not come off. I don't care what you try, the Gundam eraser or normal eraser, it doesn't come off. It smears, it leaves a big mess. Throw them out. If you want to paint with markers, get yourself some nice paint markers and not Gundam markers. But anyway, for the panel lines, I'm using these Faber-Castell pens, and I use a Bold, which is like, this one's all beat up, but it still works. They call it Bold or paintbrush. This one's all beat up too, but it still works. And I use an extra fine, or extra small, sorry. And that's a really small tip. Let's see if it shows up. So it's tiny. I'm not sure what the size is. On the package it told you. I'm not sure if it's like a 00 or 000. And then a long time ago, I bought some just India ink in a bottle, because this is really cheap. It's, well, not cheap, it's $5 a bottle for the India ink, and you can get this in hundreds of colors. This is just black, and these pens are about $4 a piece. So I thought I'd give this a try and use it like an enamel wash, so you get to see that you get to see me try that on film. So this is pretty thick out of the bottle. So what I did is I simply just added some water to it, and this is pretty full to get it the right consistency. So I added some India ink to my little tray here. I just added some normal tap water to it to see how it works. So let me show you how I've been doing panel lines in the past. It's pretty simple, just like a Gundam marker. You take your pen. Now these have all been clear coated. The decals are done. I have not top coated the decals. Sometimes I don't seal the decals before my panel lines if I don't have a lot of decals or any decals that go over panel lines. As long as you don't get ink all over the decal, you're okay. Now, if you have some decals or a bunch that intersect and go over panel lines, it's a smart idea to go ahead and seal your decals with clear coat again, and then come back and do your panel lines. So as you see, I just kind of put it in there real messy. You know, wasn't careful about it, and you just wipe it away with the Q-tip, just like this. And this is India ink is water-based, so it will not interact with the lacquer whatsoever one bit. You could leave it on here for a month and it'll come off just this easy. So that's one thing I like about it. It's just it doesn't hurt the paint at all. You can't mess up your paint. I haven't tried it over an acrylic. I don't think it'll hurt an acrylic once it's been cured. An enamel, it won't hurt an enamel either, because enamel and a water-based paint will not interact. But there you go. I mean, it's super simple. You know, the first kit I did this technique on was a 1/60th Sazabi, so that was 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, something like that, maybe 4 years. So yeah, it's real simple. I love it. Super easy. It's not real messy. And when I was doing enamel washes, man, it was so messy. I just got paint everywhere, and I hated it. It was like, ugh, my hands were all sticky. I had enamel paint everywhere. So, and then if you want to do like an outline, there's where the extra small comes in when you want to do an outline. So like on this edge where it's not really a panel line, but it's a raised panel, so you want to outline that. So you just go around and you just trace it. And you don't have to do anything. You just outline it and you're done. If you mess up, you wipe it off and do it over. So I do have one thing to say. When you're using these extra small, don't push on them, because the tips are pretty fragile. And you know, at $4 a pen, you know, I was at one point I was buying a new set, 2 new pens for each kit. You know, it's $10 or whatever for pens, but just don't push on the tip, and you'll last a lot longer. And also they have this little metal edge, and if your panel line's deep, you'll get the tip in the panel line, you'll actually scratch your paint, which I found out on this 160 this is Zabi on a few spots. I was putting the tip way down to the panel line, and I was actually scratching my paint, so I had to be careful. So like there, it's a little not quite as neat, so I'm just gonna go in, and when I'm doing a panel like this, where this panel right here is higher than that panel, I want to clean it up, I always wipe into the raised panel. Because what that's going to do is just, if I wipe this way, it'll take the ink out. If I wipe this way, it'll just make it it'll soften the line. So I always wipe into the raised panel to clean it up. Just like this. And if you need a little more ink, you just go in there and you add a little more. Pretty simple. Now if you do go back and forth too many times, you'll end up just taking the ink off, which is no big deal. Just let it, just let it sit for a few minutes and dry, and go back and re-outline it. So now for this bottle of India ink, I want to try it on more like a wash, like in areas like this where it's a little detail and it's recessed. So I just got myself a brush here, and this is really, I can't describe the consistency. I guess this would be like the consistency you would use if you were doing an enamel wash. Let's see if I can zoom in here a little bit, a little closer. There we go. Bring this into frame. So this is consistency. If you see a brush here, it's pretty, it's pretty watery. You want to be able to flow. So let's see what it looks like when I put some in here. I'm just going to flood that whole panel. And with that clear coat, it should just wick in there. And it is doing a pretty good job. Now, since we're using this more like a wash, we will have to let this dry before we, oops, well, my lights just kind of did a wonky thing. We'll let this dry for a little bit, and we'll go in and clean it up. But as you can see, it just kind of wicked in there, and we'll let that dry. So let's try that on another one. I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of flood that area with the ink. The main advantage to using India ink is that it's water-based and it's not going to affect your paint in any way. It's not going to hurt it. I could leave this on here, like I said, for a month and come back and wipe it off. So I do want to say another thing about the G-System decals on this kit. The metallic decals, they look really, really nice. Those are a little tougher to get on. Some of the metallic was coming off of the back of the decal, and they're not 100% smooth. They came off the sheet that way, but I think once I get my top coat on there, that should even things out a little bit. So let's try some decals. Oh, let me show you, here, we'll do it on this other leg armor where I do have a decal that goes across this panel line here. I'm going to show you that even though it hasn't been sealed, I can still panel line it with real carefully with my pens, and I won't hurt it. So I've got my extra fine tip here, and I'm not going to push on it. I'm just going to really, really just gently kind of go over that decal, just ever so slightly, and the ink will just flow off the pen. You don't have to push on it. It's like this. I'm just going to go slow because I don't want to tear the decal. And I think on this kit, this is the only decal that goes over a panel line. Everything else is in the middle of a panel line somewhere. I'm not sure if the camera's focusing. I'm pretty close. Just real carefully, just like this. I'm going directly over the decal. Oops, and see I messed up there a little bit, slipped. And I'm just going to take my Q-tip and wipe it off real gently. Just like that. So right there, I already went over that. I went directly over the decal that hasn't been sealed, and we didn't do any damage to it. So just like that. Okay, we're going to clean it up a little bit, and that looks good. Pretty good. Let's go ahead and fill in these other panel lines on this one since we have it here. And again, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Oop, that's in. I don't want to be too close because then I don't know if I'm in frame. Again, I'm just going to take this bold one. That's bolder. They call it bold / brush. And I'm just going to go in there and just kind of Now this one, the reason this tip is so messed up is because these panel lines are deep, and on all these other big kits, the panel lines are deep, and I actually have to push pretty good to get the ink down in the line. I may have overscribed. I may have made them too deep. I think this pen is actually drying out a little bit. I'm gonna have to get a new one. I have another one over here. Let's see how it's doing. Let's see if this one's got any better ink in it. Yeah, this one's a little wetter. So I'm just gonna go in there and fill that in like that, and like that. And then we're just gonna go in there and wipe it up. And on this process, you'll go through a ton of Q-tips too. Just have a bunch on hand, and I just use regular Q-tips for this process. I don't use the hobby Q-tips. So even though I got ink on that decal, it came right off. It didn't hurt it. Now, if you don't seal your decals and you leave it on top of your decal, it could damage it because it's water-based and they're not sealed. But since, like I said, I don't have any decals over panel lines, I can probably get away with doing this. On a big kit like this, adding more paint layers really isn't a huge issue. It's on the smaller, like master grade and high grade kits. Every layer of paint you put on the kit, the more trouble, the harder it is going to be to do your final assembly, because the tolerances are so tight to begin with, and that added layer of paint, layers of paint, are going to make it that much tougher to get things to fit back together, and then and also just rubbing, pieces rubbing together. And then with that panel line, it can help. Again, it's not showing up real good in camera, but it helps separate the two colors that I have going on here. So, and the ink's having a hard time coming off. I have my little bit of water over here for my decals. Just wet your Q-tip just a little bit, ever so slightly damp, and just go in there and take it off. Actually, I got one spot that's being real stubborn right there. I don't know why. I think I may need to get new pens. Those are kind of... Yeah, there it is. It's pretty good. So the decals on this kit took me, let's see, I'd say not nearly as long like a master grade kit. They're not as many decals. That's probably a good 8 hours, two nights of work to get the decals on. So it wasn't terribly bad on this kit. I still have more. Oops, and I just spilled ink everywhere on camera. Yay. You get to see me mess up, which I do all the time. And you see, I got ink all over this decal. This came right off. Good thing I didn't get in my lap. India ink will stain very badly. Your clothes. Just make sure you're wearing something you don't care about, or wear black or whatever color it is decal you're doing. Got two little spots on there don't want to come off. I may have to go in there and just lightly sand it. I think what happened, there's like a water spot there from maybe when I was doing decals, and the ink got caught in that water spot. So we'll address that. It always seems like no matter how much time I spend cleaning up my panel lines, there's always a little bit that I miss that I see after I've top coated the kit. And by that time it's kind of too late because it's sealed in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try doing the wash technique on this line with this. And we'll see if it wicks down in there. And see, it did pretty good. These panel lines are really, really deep now. So I'm actually putting a lot in here. But I hope you can see it wicking in there. My gloss coat's so shiny it's hard to see with the reflection of my work light. You can always, if it's not wicking, you can always just kind of go in there and paint it in. That'll work. So that was just done with the Indie ink and my brush, using it like an enamel wash. So we'll let that dry for a little bit and we'll clean it up. I'm actually gonna do a process. Put these over there so I can keep straight what I've done and what I haven't done. And that one did earlier. Let's look at another one. How about one of these big panels? One of these big leg panels here. So this guy has a lot of panel lines on it. So we're gonna do. I'm gonna try the kind of the wash technique and the outlining and all that stuff. There we go. This process will take me a while. I'm going to work on this a little bit tonight. I just got back from a family function, so I'm a little tired. I've been going, have family in town, so we've been going all weekend. So I'll do a little bit. I really wanted to try this ink as a wash. So it looks like it does better if I just kind of paint it in there. Like that. As much as I hate this process, this really helps bring a really finished look. Panel lines have always been my least favorite part of the modeling process. I've never enjoyed this step. It's looking pretty good. I think I'm just on camera, yeah. I'm trying to make this a shorter video. I'm at 18 minutes. All my videos seem to be like 25 to 30 minutes long. Excuse me. That's looking pretty good. I actually like this. I think I need to work with a little bit of the thinning ratio because this should be wicking in there. These panel lines are really, they're nice and deep, and there's a lot of gloss coat on here. So I need to work with the thinning ratio as far as how much water to add. I know it wouldn't do it with just the plain ink. I know that. It's pretty thick. There, I worked a little bit there. I wonder if the panel lines are just too deep, and like I think the gloss coat couldn't get down into the panel line is what I'm thinking. This little painting technique seems to be doing pretty good with this. It's sucking it in there. There's not a lot of excess ink on the outside of the panel. Very little bit. And once that dries, that should be easy to clean up. Some of these little recessed areas, I'm going to go back, and after I do my final top coat, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to hand paint some of these with metallics in these recessed areas a little bit. So we'll do this one piece, and then we'll maybe I'll do a demo on another piece, and we'll call this video done, because again, it's the same process over and over again. This seems to be doing really well if I just kind of go paint it in on these lines. And once it dries, if you find out that you missed a spot, you can just go back and add a little more. So that piece is pretty much done. It's just got to dry, and I can go and wipe up the excess. I can see that the ink is kind of, as it settles, it's wicking away from some certain areas, so I'll just go back there and add some more. So I'm going to let that dry for a little while, and then we'll see if I need to go back and add some more. It's looking pretty good. Kind of digging this bottled stuff. Let's see. Trying to find a piece where I can use that extra small one a little bit more, because I really like this. It's like on this one in particular, I'm going to go through and outline this raised panel. I get the ink to go. And this is why I have a bunch of pens, because sometimes they just don't want to work. There it goes. So again, I'm not pushing on the pen, I'm just kind of letting the ink come out on its own. And if your surface is really, really glossy like mine, you'll see that the paint wants to kind of wick away. Like it wants to, like, if you're not necessarily bead, I guess it's wanting to bead. You just kind of go back and forth real lightly till it kind of stays where it needs to stay. And it's not necessarily this line, but I saw a little spot where my masking was 100%, and since that's black, I can go and just fill it in with the ink. I don't know if you can see that right there, but my masking tape didn't quite get I didn't quite get black all over that, so I'm just gonna go just color it in with this, and it'll take care of it. Clean up that edge. Nice thing about the panel lines is that it does kind of help. It cleans up your edges, your masking edges. And I want to thank everyone who commented on my video the other night about commissions. I appreciate it. Got a lot of good response, some really good feedback. A lot of people think I should charge more than $12.50, but I think $12.50 is a fair rate for, again, a luxury item that's, you know, I don't make my living at doing this. This is just a, you know, a side thing that I do for people that want me to do it. So I try to make it reasonable, but I try to make it worth my while too. Because I know, as one person had emailed me that $3,000 is a lot for someone to spend on a bill, and I totally get it. And that's why I try to work with people, and I don't charge extra if I go over my estimated time. I try to deliver a really high-end product. I do my best. And I have had no complaints so far. So that's looking pretty good. And this process takes me a while, because I don't know. Like I said, it's not my favorite thing to do. And to me, I never I've yet to get panel lines the way I think they should look. I don't know. I look at other people's work and it's like, man, those panel lines just look really crisp and really sharp, and I'm just never happy with the ones that I come up with. So it's one area that I need to work on and just get down a system that I think gets the results that I'm looking for. I'm really kind of upset I spilled the ink everywhere. It's gonna make a mess on my workbench. So again, I'm wiping towards that raised panel to clean up a little bit, and then we're going to get the bold pen out and do the other area. And again, I'm at 25 minutes again, so sorry for everyone who's watching. Sometimes these aren't the most exciting things to watch, but I try to, when I watch videos on people are teaching something, I try to, watch and pay attention and learn something. And sometimes it takes me a while to explain stuff. I'm not the best teacher. I don't think I could be a teacher for a profession. I would go nuts. Teachers have the patience of angels. I don't know. Teachers definitely do not get paid enough, in my opinion. They should make 3 times what they make. So this is looking pretty good, if I do say so myself. So this bold I just put in there, nasty. Don't be careful about it. This one's almost out of ink. Where's my other one? I had 2 out here. I got 3 extra smalls. I thought I had another bold or brush size. Oh, it's right here. It's under my arm. It's hiding. I have to go buy another couple more of these. I've tried to look for them like in bulk on Amazon, and I haven't had any luck. They're still $4 or $5 a piece. But they'll last you for several models. I mean, you could probably get, if you're good to them, you could probably get 10 models out of one of these. So it's not too bad. And big models, I'm not talking master grades, I'm talking these big resin kits. So we're going to finish this panel up and call this video done. And if you have any questions, shoot me a note. I try to answer pretty quick. Try to answer everyone. Sometimes YouTube does a funny thing. I felt bad, so I got an email saying that I had a message from YouTube, from a member on YouTube, and I went to go look. And I had other ones that were sent to me like last year that I never saw or responded to, and I felt really bad. So I went ahead and responded to them, and the guys came back. I was like, "Oh, I was wondering if you were going to respond to me." He's like, "Yeah, I just saw this." So I was like, I never got a message saying that I had a message, or I just missed it, or something. But I felt really bad because I try to respond to everyone that has a question. So this piece alone took me, I don't know, just under 10 minutes, and there's not a lot of lines, so you can see it cleaning up is. So I have a really bright light above me, and I'm constantly looking at the piece at an angle, because even if you don't see the ink, if you look at it at an angle, you can see it's hard to describe. Instead of shiny, you see kind of dull, and that's some ink residue. You can see the residue. So a really shiny light is very helpful in this process, because you may not actually see the ink may be so thin that you don't see the color, but like right here I'm seeing some residue. So once I get that off, I know I've got all the ink. And like I said, sometimes I notice stuff that I've missed after the final top coat even. It's like, oh crap. You know, no one else would notice it, but I do. I'm just going to put some in here just to clean up this line. Get out the bolt again. Sorry, my short video turned into 30 minutes again. So I'm going to do a little bit of this tonight. I'm going to take a little break. I probably won't work tomorrow night. I know I said I work every night, which I basically do. I work probably at least 5 to 6 days a night. But sometimes you just got to take a little break. I was up late last night. I was up till about 1 o'clock again. That's late for me. I'm old. So that's it. You know, using the India ink pens is real simple. It's like using a Gundam marker. Like I said, they work way better. The ink actually comes off. I've never the one or two times I tried to use a Gundam marker, I was kicking myself because like, oh, maybe I'm not doing it right, and then sure enough, like the stuff just does not come off. Not for me. So I'm not sure if other people have that problem, but I do. So again, if you have any questions about using the India inks or anything, I get these from Hobby Lobby. So, you know, no big secret. You can get them from Amazon too. But give it a shot. You know, buy yourself a pen or two and see what you think. Try the bottle of ink too. For, you know, it's, like I said, it's $4 for the jar. It's a pretty good deal. So thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys later.